Hello, how's everybody doing? And welcome to Rick on the Rocks and Dad Fantasy Football Extravaganza. Week one. Heading into week one. We did our draft show, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago we did a draft show. Thanks everybody for checking that out. We got a lot of really great viewership on that. And so this week we're going to be talking about a little bit about what we're doing with our week one teams, guys to look at, matchups to look at, and we're all doing this down here at the Rick on the Rock studios in South Florida with a hurricane on the way. But Dad convinced me to not cancel the show for this week, and we're going to push through it. As of right now, we have, the sun shining, blue skies. So, week one, and we've got our team set up. Dad has, how many teams do you have?
5.
All right. And then Dad and I have our one team together. And we've been looking at some of the players and some of the things that we're going to be doing. And, of course, with week one, you just really don't know. You're just trying to put the best team together that you can. And, again, mentioning the hurricane, I had to drop Mike Evans off my starting roster because
Tampa and Miami have been canceled. They will play in week 11 where they both happen to have a bye. And so if you've got any players off either one of those teams, they're not playing this week. They'll be doing a bye. So
keep that in mind.
Otherwise, the byes don't start till, I believe, week 5. But
right.
The first game is tomorrow night. For those of you, the normal Thursday night thing, they've got Kansas City at New England.
Mm-hmm.
And then a full schedule on Sunday afternoon at 1. There's about 3 games, I believe, at 4, 1 at 8, and then 2 more games, which is kind of traditional thing that ESPN started a few years ago, 2 games on Monday night. So
the first game on Monday night's a really good game.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm kind of looking forward to.
So, but anyway, I'm going to start off today with story time. Yes, it's story time. This is my popular request. Yeah.
It's story time.
Exactly. Story time. Once upon a time, Rick and I had a team. This is last year. Was this last year we had the team? That we started off kind of poorly. This is in
this is last year, yeah.
Started off kind of poorly, to say the least. We had good players.
That's a good word for it. It's not the word I'd use, but as far as the PG confounds of what we do, yes, poorly.
There's a moral to all of my stories, of course, here on Story Time. So we kept plugging along, and pretty soon we started to win some of the weekly matchups, and we climbed up the standings, and we made it into the playoffs literally on the last play on Monday night, put us ahead of the guy that was ahead of us in 4th place. We jumped into 4th place. The first 4 teams, if you have a 10-team fantasy league, go into the championship playoffs, which lasts a total of 4 weeks, 2 weeks and 2 weeks. Then we turn around and we win the whole thing. Yeah. Once again, going right down to the wire.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one other little story time note here. I'm also playing fantasy baseball. When the season started, I had 2 fantasy baseball teams, one of which I thought was going to be really good. The other one was meh.
Which you're crazy.
Well,
you're crazy for doing.
It's turned out that my meh team is really meh. Okay, but the team I thought was going to be good, they got off to a horrible start. I mean, I have good players. I've got great pitchers. I've got Clayton Kershaw. I've got John Lester, and really.
I'll give him a phone call at like 4,
yeah,
and I'll be like, "Let me call you back. I'm working on my fantasy."
So I kept plugging away. The fantasy baseball season, regular season, ended Sunday. That was the last day. The playoffs started yesterday, 2 days ago, Monday. On the last day, I took over first place overall. and got a trophy, which of course is a trophy online trophy that if you play ESPN, well, you know what I mean.
You got this.
But anyway,
beautiful trophy.
No, I did not get a beautiful trophy. What happened with the other team was it wasn't that bad a team, but I had several key injuries, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And they finished. I think I finished last in the league. It was horrible. Now, what's the moral of all this? The moral of all this is keep plugging away. Keep plugging away. Rick was just looking over our fantasy team here, and he says, I don't know, this is pretty close. We're projected to lose by a point. I said, well, this is the first week.
Yeah.
2 points, okay?
2 points.
This is the first week. You just got to keep plugging along.
But I get more nerve-wracked about that sort of thing than he does. So.
You just keep plugging along. You do the best you can. If you got good players, sooner or later, it's going to flatten out. Now, there's going to be injuries, so you have to make adjustments and stuff like that. And just have a good time, make some moves. If you don't like the way somebody's playing, look on the waiver wire, grab somebody else that maybe is getting hot.
Don't be afraid to jump on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I'm big on it.
A lot of people just are like, no, I'm going to go with who I picked. That's not how we play.
No.
We'll jump on a waiver wire like that fast and start grabbing people. Well, let me go to we both have some points that we want to talk about week one. And this is one thing. I like looking at weird factoids and whatnot. And I think 2 weeks ago I did the teams with the most guys that you want to get on your fantasy team. And there were a lot of surprises, and I wanted to break it all down just for myself as well. So I started doing some research, and I kept seeing suspended, all these guys that were suspended. I'm like, well, how many guys are like guys that I would pick up on my fantasy team? How many guys are suspended? 27 guys are suspended as of right now between 1 and 6 games. Guys that you might pick up on your fantasy team. So make sure that you're doing your research. And I did notice that almost 95% of them were for breaking the substance abuse rule, blah, 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 within the NFL. So, but that's 27 guys that you could pick up on one of your teams. And if you weren't thinking and didn't do your research, you kind of be
I've got Ezekiel Elliott throwing back for the Dallas Cowboys. He's one of my teams. He's going to play this week, but nobody's sure if he's going to play after that. They suspect that maybe he's going to end up being suspended for 6 games, but his attorneys filed an injunction to prohibit the NFL from suspending him. So there's a possibility that he may play this whole season and then be suspended next season. There's a lot of, nobody knows for sure, obviously. So that's just one of the things you have to deal with. There have been a number of players through the years. Adrian Peterson's been suspended.
Right.
A number of other players have been suspended. Also watch for the injuries. Right now, Andrew Luck, the quarterback from the Colts, is not going to play the first week. Odell Beckham, the wide receiver for the Giants.
They're being so shifty about Andrew Luck.
Nobody's sure if Odell Beckham's going to be able to play this first week. So you need to check the waiver wire, not the waiver wires, the injury reports right up to game time. And you can do that Sunday morning, usually ESPN, Fox, whoever you want to listen to, NFL Network. They will keep you right up to date.
It stinks when you try to and Dad and I have been talking about Andrew Luck for weeks now. And you actually saw, and I saw a Facebook Live with the coach from the Indianapolis Colts. So how's Andrew doing? Well, it's day to day. He's a great player. We love him very much. He's a heck of a cult, and there's really no real answers that they're willing to give anybody. So it's whether they want to give, other coaches, other teams, whoever's are playing. And so it's just it's maddening. And it didn't used to be like this until fantasy football started. It was all pretty
what started all this, Rick, was Bill
Bill
Belichick,
Belichick.
the coach of the New England Patriots, who was notoriously close-mouthed about injuries. You never know, and he's not going to tell you.
No.
If they're on the injury list or not on the injury list, you can't tell for sure, and it's very difficult. For instance, last year with Gronk, you never knew when he was going to come back, if he was going to come back. And the only thing you know for sure this year is that Edelman is not coming back, which is a shame because he's a great fantasy player in addition to being obviously a terrific real-time player.
Bill, is he going to play? Well, I went to the Walgreens last night. I got him an ace bandage. Yeah. I don't know. It's still day to day. We don't know what's happening with him.
Yep. So.
All right. So I've got a couple. You wouldn't call them dark horses, or I don't know the word I'm looking for. Some guys maybe to look at this week and some matchups this week. When I was going through and reading Philly versus Washington. Now let's just go ahead and start out. Philly versus Washington is at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Wide receiver Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffries.
That's quarterback. Carson Wentz.
Quarterback Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey as a combo versus Washington. That's something that a lot of the fantasy football guys are like, don't underplay that. Take a look at that because it might be huge.
Carson Wentz is someone that a lot of the fantasy guru types have been beating the drum for.
Yes.
Over the last few weeks as going to be a breakout this year with Philadelphia. Alshon Jeffrey, obviously from the Bears, played last year for the Bears on the one-year contract and then split and went to Philadelphia. But Alshon, when he's healthy, like all the rest of them, is a terrific
he's a heck of a wide receiver. New Orleans. And who was New Orleans playing? We were playing Minnesota. AP. Got a quote from AP. Of course.
That's Adrian Peterson.
Yeah. Of course, I want to stick it to the Vikes. So keep that in mind. I don't know. We were talking about his age might be a factor. But it also might give Drew Brees a little extra something to have in his arsenal. Because you can count on their offensive line. You can't count on New Orleans' defense in any way, shape, or form.
And they don't try to. They just, Brees is going to throw the heck out of the ball. They'll do some running, but mostly they like to just chuck it all over the place. And they're very good at it, and they'll score a lot of points. And their defense the last couple of years has been horrific on its best day. So
the other one, which we've used this guy quite a bit in the last few years, Pierre Garçon, who is now the 49ers, versus Carolina. Keep in mind, and I didn't know this. This was a number I did not know. He had a 79-catch season with Washington last year.
He's a good, steady receiver.
Yeah. I think that's a guy that you could kind of like throw into your team. Always be there, make those steady points. So yeah, those are some of the guys that I was looking at, and that maybe you wouldn't. Oh, this is one of our fantasy. It's an alert from one of our fantasy football teams. So Dad, what have you got?
Oh, fantasy football, like regular football, obviously is about matchups. And one thing you need to keep an eye on every week is who your players are playing against. In other words, most of us carry two quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And there may be times that you'll want to use what you might consider your second quarterback rather than your first one, depending on who they're playing. If they're playing a team with a really strong defense and you think he's going to struggle, why then you use the other quarterback if he's got a better matchup. Some teams' defenses, Houston traditionally has been one of the teams that you have to be careful with as far as as far as trying to have a good offense against them because their defense has been so good. So I've picked out a couple here. Another thing is, and this is money. You can take this to the bank. No, we're not promoting gambling. This is fantasy.
It's fun.
Okay. Matchups against bad teams. Okay. There are some bad teams in the NFL. We know who some of them are already. We know that Cleveland is a bad team and is going to be a bad team. We know that the New York Jets are going to be a very bad team, maybe the worst team. People are saying they're probably the worst team in the NFL. So one of the categories we have in fantasy is defense. So it would behoove you, if you have a chance, to get a defense every week. Look on the waiver wire, who's playing against the Jets, who's playing against Cleveland, and that sort of thing. Now this week, what we have is we have Pittsburgh at Cleveland, okay? It's all about matchups. Pittsburgh is a terrible road team, in case you didn't realize that. Roethlisberger on the road is an average quarterback at best and probably below average. At home, you can start him and not worry about it. He's going to run up 300 yards passing. It's a sure thing. On the road, he's not. But against Cleveland, I'm willing to make an exception. And if I have Le'Veon Bell on my team, their running back, which I happen to, on one of my teams, or if I've got wide receiver Antonio Brown, and I do, I'm sticking them in. And I might even be tempted. I don't happen to have Roethlisberger as a backup on any of my teams. But that would be the time if you have Roethlisberger as your backup quarterback, for instance.
If you're going to pick him, grab him for that game.
You may want to stick him in there against Cleveland. I would stick, and I would look every week who's playing Cleveland.
Now, would you grab Pittsburgh's defense? Would you be
yes, I would take Pittsburgh's defense.
In a heartbeat.
Okay. The same token, there's another game. We've got the Jets at Buffalo. Okay. Buffalo is not a great team. They're okay. But the Jets are terrible. Okay? You have my word for it. You don't even have to check. You don't even have to look at it. The Jets are terrible. They're going to be terrible. Okay? So the Buffalo defense this week, and this isn't anything that I'm just discovering. If you look on
it's all over.
Any of the fantasy shows, they're telling you the same thing. The Buffalo defense this week is a good play. Tyrod Taylor, if he's going to play, there's some question about his health or medically, whether he's going to play the quarterback for Buffalo. I happen to have him as a backup on a couple of teams. This would be a lovely time to play him. Okay. They also have a running back who's one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL, LaShawn McCoy, who's a terrific running back. If you have him, be sure to use him. Also, they have wide receiver Sammy Watkins, okay, who I've got
I like Sammy.
on a team or two. Be sure he's in your lineup. And Tyrod Taylor, he's kind of the X factor, and try to get Buffalo's defense. That's a great play. Another good game, and my son and I disagree a little bit about this. I'm a Bear fan. I have been. I'm a lifetime.
Well, we're both Bear fans.
I root for them every week.
We're both Bear fans.
But they're terrible. Okay, this week they're playing Atlanta at home. Atlanta's defense is not any great thing. It never is. But they score some points. I love playing their guys. This would be a good week to load up on anybody offensively for Atlanta. And, maybe I don't think I'd go so far as to put Atlanta's defense in, but the Bears lost their best wide receiver, Cameron Meredith. He's out for the year. They're down to Jordan Howard, the running back, and I guess Glennon is going to be the quarterback until Trubisky takes over at about halfway through the season.
When Glennon gets broken in half.
So, Devontae Freeman, the running back, Julio Jones, the wide receiver, Sanu, the wide receiver, anybody off of that team. David Coleman, the backup running back, who always is very good, any of those. And then finally, Jacksonville's playing at Houston. Jacksonville is terrible, okay? Once again, people are saying, oh, but they've got such a wonderful defense. Well, that's fine, but they have no quarterback. They basically have no running back, and they have one receiver, Allen Robinson. But
we're just giving it to you straight, folks.
Yeah. Houston's got J.J. Watts and a great defense. That would be a good time to load up on.
But we're Bears fans who aren't playing Bears players in fantasy at all, so don't think that we're biased in any way, shape, or form.
So defenses are easy to switch in and out. There's always defenses available.
Well, last year we had.
I switched defenses
10 times, 11 times.
Almost every game. It's very, very seldom that I'll use the same defense more than a game or two, and then switch to another one for a while. And it's all based on it's matchups. That's all it's about. Now, defense is only one category. Most of the points in fantasy are offensive points, but a point is a point.
Who are you taking for your kicker?
Yeah. So kickers, you pretty much do the best you can.
Sebastian Janikowski.
Well, Sebastian's in a contract dispute. He may not even play. So they asked him to rework his contract out in Oakland, and he said no. And
they're not giving him enough steak dinners.
Yeah. This is the last year of his 4-year contract, I think.
Well, for the last 2 years, we knocked between him and Hauschka. Is that how you say his name?
Who?
The guy that used to be Seattle.
Hauschka.
He's not with Seattle anymore.
Hauschka. No, he's with Buffalo.
Great kicker, clutch kicker.
Yeah.
And I think with Buffalo, probably be kicking a lot.
But there's some good kickers around the league. And I like to use kickers who their team, obviously using kickers where their team scores a lot of points is always a good idea. That's why Janikowski is valuable in fantasy as far as I'm concerned, because Oakland scores a lot.
Yeah.
Which means a lot of extra points, which count, and means when they get inside the 50-yard line, if they get stuck, they're going to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
Because they want to put points.
They're not going to have to worry about it.
Over and over and over again.
Janikowski can make that sort of kick at 40 or 41 years old.
Look for the matchups. And remember, it's a little difficult right now because nobody's playing.
No.
So, we're just sitting here.
We're going to have a little bit better idea. It's literally like you're going to go through a few weeks. We're going to have a little bit better idea in the next few weeks.
Everybody will. I mean, everybody, this is all.
And then it's going to get really hyper competitive.
Even the guys that are doing daily fantasy shows right now, some of them go on for hours on XM radio, for instance, which I happen to have. But
also keep in mind, because we're dealing with longer seasons, there's more injuries. Again, with the injuries after injury after
injuries.
Our favorite wide receiver is gone for the season. The guy that we scored tons of points with, he's gone. So, you just never know. Yeah.
Like I said, nobody knows for sure if Beckham's going to play. Last year, I had a team last year in fact, it was our team. We had Brady as our quarterback, and we drafted, and I had Gronk. We had Gronk.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Well, Gronk ended up playing, 6 games, 7 games,
Something like
whatever the heck it was. I held on to Gronk, and we held on to Gronk, and we had Edelman, and we had a bunch of other guys, and we mowed it along, and fortunately, second half of the season, we caught up with everybody.
Yeah.
But what are the chances of Gronk making it through the whole season without being hurt? Not too good.
No.
Not too good. For anybody, for that matter. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. And you stop and think about it. Brady's almost as old as I am. He can't keep going like this. And he can't keeping from getting hurt. Now, they have a great backup quarterback there. So, well, he is.
Tom Brady's 68 years old.
Yeah, he's probably just
still
a
looking
clone
good.
at this point. That the evil mastermind, his coach, Bill Belichick, has got from the quarterback cloning.
Giselle just keeps making him really good home cooked meals. That's what's keeping him going.
So anyway, well, we've only got a couple minutes left here, so we better get on with things. Why don't we jump? And next week we'll get more into detail because we'll have something to work with. We'll have actual games being played and stuff. We just wanted to make sure we had a show today. We didn't know whether the hurricane was coming our way, whether it was going this coast, that coast.
And make sure you send us good thoughts and prayers too over the next few days, because we don't know what's going to happen either.
Yeah, so. I mean, the people in Houston are still struggling. So, but this is a super major hurricane, so we all need to, good thoughts and prayers to everybody. Hopefully the darn thing will go out in the middle of nowhere and dissolve, but it doesn't look that way. So, all right, my Super Bowl picks.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Well, we only got to have a couple minutes. We need to get them in. I think Rick and I pretty much agree.
Yeah, I was trying.
AFC, you have to go with the Patriots. And I like Oakland.
Yeah.
They have a tough opener at Tennessee. They might even lose it, but I still think over long season they're going to be there. In the NFC, I like the Packers and Seattle again.
Yeah.
Seattle, it's hard to tell, but they looked really good last year near the end. They've made some changes out there. But Russell Wilson, if he's healthy, which he seems to be, is really good and spreads the ball around really well.
He's a good leader.
And if they can run the ball, they'll be good. My sleepers would be the Titans, Tennessee Titans with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. I think they're going to be a surprise team. And these aren't yours. These are mine.
I know.
So you can grumble and gripe all you like, but they're mine. And Arizona. I like Arizona. Once again, you'll notice I like teams that score a lot of points, and that's Arizona. I don't know if they're good enough, and they're one injury away from having no quarterback too. So, but they have some really great skill players. Starting with the guy I think that's probably the best player in the league, David Johnson, the running back, who is not only a terrific runner, but also a great pass catcher. And so
I didn't pick any sleepers.
But anyway, after all this is said and done, I think it's going to be the Patriots playing the Packers again. And I don't know.
I'd like to see that switched up a little bit.
Yeah, I know. We need somebody new, but I think it's just so obvious right now injuries. Brady gets hurt. Aaron Rodgers gets hurt for Green Bay. Then
somebody's gonna slide in there.
So
I've got Seattle NFC, Green Bay NFC, and I've got the AFC New England, and I've got Oakland. I actually went back and forth about Dallas, which he laughed at me about. I love Dallas's coaching. I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan by any stretch of the imagination. I love the coaching staff. I like what they've done to the team. I think they got some really talented players. I just don't think they're going to be able to put it together, unfortunately. And I really went back and forth about that. So I guess maybe if I had
well, if they can be your long shot,
they'll be my long shot. Just possibly.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
I don't know. I'll root for them, but as far as for what we're doing on this show, they'll be my long shot.
Yeah.
So Dad and I agree pretty much on the two teams, NFC and AFC.
Plus, I like teams that score a lot of points. Period.
I tell you what, I'm gonna have to. I think New England and Green Bay still would be that would be such a heck of a game if everybody's healthy, but you just never know at that point. Oakland's an exciting team to watch.
Yeah,
and
I would really like for them to win the Super Bowl this year.
And even Seattle and Oakland. I think again,
Seattle,
two teams.
Oakland would be, I think, a really good matchup.
I think Oakland would.
The left coast thing.
I think Oakland would crush them, but eventually.
I don't know.
I think Oakland would score way too many points. I don't think they'd be able to keep up on. So, all right, that's the end of Rick on the Rocks and Dad Fantasy Football Extravaganza, Week 1, coming you from Rick on the Rocks, Central here in South Florida, where there's no hurricane right now. So hopefully we will see you again. The show's on for next Wednesday, as weather permitting.
There's no weather permitting. It's going to be on. We're not doing weather permitting.
We'll be out.
I thought the weather permitting thing, yeah.
You're going to see like wind and rain coming in through my front window. And
See, I don't have to worry about the wind blowing through my hair.
I'm going to have a trash bag over the computer, and we're going to be huddled around each other.
You don't want that. I was in a bad hurricane in 2004.
So we'll be back next Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Tell your friends, let the kids out, whatever. We'll see you then.
Thanks for watching. Take care.